Buenos dias. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time on a Saturday to participate in things that are going to move you closer to your goals. I already know that you know how to rise and shine because you're choosing to do this on a Saturday when a lot of people, and old and young, would choose to just sleep. And so I already know that by the daily choices that you make, you are already successful and headed in the right direction. My name is Maricela Herrera, and I'm going to spend the next hour or so with you doing this presentation called Rise and Shine, Success Tips for Brilliant and Resilient Scholars. Just so you know about me, I definitely have content to share, but I want to hear from you because I really believe that you have a lot of expertise to share. So I encourage participation. Do so through the chat, or if you need to unmute yourself, that would be fine. I like to imagine myself when I'm talking to students or with anyone really, as sitting at my kitchen table, relaxed, um, relaxed, comfortable, con confianza, comfortable with each other like you would with familia. And so I hope that you feel the same way, even though we're in a virtual environment. Before I jump in too much, I've just learned from your staff that we have 6 seniors, 4 juniors, and 5 sophomores. So I know you are at different places in your high school career, but again, I just really acknowledge you for participating in the Upper Bound program, and in this experience with other presenters as well, because this is the stuff that's going to give you the edge. Um, Before I jump further into the presentation, I want to tell you a little bit about me, and I'm hoping to learn a lot more about you through the presentation. Um, You'll notice on the left-hand side a photo of a large family. And that is a photo of my family. That is my mother standing in the middle, and I have 4 brothers and 3 sisters, and I am the youngest of 8. So on the very, very top of the picture, on the right-hand side, I am sitting on my oldest brother's shoulders, both literally and figuratively. He is the role model of the family. He led the path for all of us, and I'm the baby. So we're like bookends. I grew up in Spanish Harlem. I'm Puerto Rican. Wepa to anybody who's a Puerto Rican on here. Um, and I grew up in Spanish Harlem, which we see a lot of in the movies. So we have a lot of pride, like so many different groups do, in terms of their ethnic identity. And I grew up in this large family. My mother had a second grade education. My father had a seventh grade education. But even though they themselves didn't have a higher education, they believed deeply in the power of education to change our lives and our futures. And I imagine that you have family like that too. They came from Puerto Rico for a better life, and they raised us in New York City, very urban, um, right next to the Bronx kind of thing. And it was a very interesting childhood. It was a hard one too at times. We were um, definitely, we didn't have a lot of resources. There were 8 of us living in a 3-bedroom apartment. My parents worked really hard. There was a lot of violence in the community. I grew up in a time when 1980s, when the crack epidemic hit New York City and major cities all over the country. And so I watched the entire community really be decimated by poverty, by violence, and a lot of things. So like you, I'm sure I had to make a choice every single day that would mean the difference between me and surviving and thriving, or falling prey to the constant challenges that I was facing, to do the right thing, to do the wrong things, to take the shortcuts. And unfortunately, several of my friends didn't make it, literally didn't make it. And so it was rough. If you've ever seen the movie called Precious, which is an old movie, you would know that that's exactly where I grew up and during the time. So that was really defining for me, but my parents loved education in spite of their lack of formal education. And so we all, hungered for the same thing. And we realized that education, and especially finishing high school and getting a college degree, was going to be the thing that made the difference, not just for ourselves individually, but our entire family. So that's where I grew up. I went to high school in the city, all the way K through 12 in the city. And then I went to school in upstate New York, a place called Marist College. Well, I'll talk about a little bit more, since I know I have so many of you thinking about college right now and even applying. The picture of the young man with the Yankees hat he's representing, that's my son. He is 21 years old. He's a senior at Arizona State University, where I worked for 25 years, working with students just like yourselves. and he's studying business supply chain management, and he will be graduating in May. I tell people that I've been blessed to accomplish a lot of things in my life. I've had a lot of burdens, but I have a lot of blessings too. But he's the greatest achievement of my life, and he's my legacy. He's a great guy. I'm not biased. I'm his mama, but he's a great guy. And on the right-hand side, you see pictures of two books that I've written. I'm an author. Puerto Rican Goldilocks, A Lyrical Journey Through the Barrio was my story. I wrote that book when I was in graduate school in Arizona, really reflecting on what it meant for me to come out of where I came out of and to be a Latina woman, and really to hold on to my culture, because I have mad pride in my culture and who I am. And so that's a book of poetry and prose. And then on the bottom, you see a book that I wrote about 5 years ago called Lean Into Grace, Power Up for a Fierce and Fearless Life. And that's a coaching playbook. I'm a life coach, a certified life coach who really helps people get to their goals and to realize their dreams, in addition to being an educator. Um, I have worked in higher education at the university level for over 25 years. I know it's hard to tell because I look so young, right? But um, I've been at this a long time. I've worked probably with over 100,000 students at this point. And so I want you to know that whatever questions you might have about college, about any of the things that lead up to that, I'm happy to speak to them, even if it's not part of the exact presentation, and I'll stay on as long as necessary. Um, I told you I went to Marist College, small private school in upstate New York. I studied social work. And just so, to give you a sense, getting involved is really important. And sometimes you choose to get involved, and sometimes you're thrust into involvement. And right now we're living in a complicated world, and maybe some of you have already exercised activism. But one of the things that I confronted back at Marist College early on, I was on scholarship. I got involved with the Latino students, the Black Student Union, the student newspaper. I was really, really involved, but I had no idea that within my first semester of college, I would actually be involved in activism. The Ku Klux Klan, which is a white supremacy group, actually marched on our campus against, trying to tell us that we didn't belong there. So at 18 years old, I had to march against the Ku Klux Klan. I chose to, and that was what started my activism to make the situation better than it was, like so many of you might be feeling right now in this country. So we'll talk more about that later on, but that's how I got involved. I also had a real struggle in college, not because I didn't have the grades or the smarts, but because I got involved in a really unhealthy relationship. So I want to keep it real with you, because sometimes you see an older person, you think they figured it all out. But it was a defining experience in my college career. And I went from being an honor student to getting a 1.27 my first semester of college, all because of this crazy relationship. I ultimately got out of it, and I ended up going onto Dean's List and never coming off. So it's not just what you go through, it's how you respond back from it. And I ultimately graduated with honors from Marist College with a degree in social work and Spanish, and I got a full ride to Arizona State University based on my grades. So I'll tell you that really quickly, not to overlook all the details, but to tell you that sometimes we go through things. Maybe you haven't had the best high school semester that you've wanted, or maybe even the best year. We know 2020 has been rough for everybody, but I'm here to tell you that you can rebound from that. You can rebound from all of that, and make the decision to do so. And so with that, like I said, I went to Arizona State. I got my master's degree. I'm halfway through my doctoral program. And I've been able to make a career as an educator, a life coach, and I speak all over the country to students. So that's just a little bit about me. So I want you to tell me a little bit about you, and in particular, I'd like to hear how you define success. At this point in your life, how do you think success is defined? How do you measure it? How will you know when you're successful? And so those are some questions I just want to throw out. And anybody, if you want to unmute yourself and answer, that's fine. Or if you want to send something by chat, that would be awesome too. So how do you define success as a young person?
So my name is Marjorie Lopez. I am a senior at Gilliam. And the way I define success is by being in a place in my life where I'm happy, whether I want to have like a financial balance, but also a work-life balance.
Okay.
And I just want to find a place where I know I'm happy and I don't have to worry about anything. That's when I'll know I'm successful.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share their definition of success?
My name is Esther and Jimmy. I'm a sophomore at Gilliam, and I just want to add on to what Margie said. I think when you're happy and when you achieve your goals that what you want to do in life, that also makes you successful.
That is awesome. Yeah. So it's both those things. Are there some specific goals that you want to achieve?
Right now, I just want to like focus on me and eating healthier, trying to be more
Excellent.
positive in life.
Yes, excellent. That's a great goal to have. A lot of times when we're young, we don't think about our health. We think we're going to always have all the working parts, but it's important to start those habits now. But anybody else want to share their definition of success or how they'll know that they're successful?
Oh,
Yeah,
I put
this
in the chat is to be at peace. Um, I
Sorry?
also, I also put happiness, but also to feel at peace. Um, I feel that's successful. Like when you can finally like sit down wherever you are. I don't know, like everybody's gonna go different ways, but if you feel at peace with what you've done and where you're going, basically.
That's I gotta tell you, you guys are just out the gate profound. You're deep. I'm loving this already. Yeah, peace. So many people have material things. They have the house, they have the car, they have the money. We see celebrities going through that every day, and yet they're unhappy. You know, it can get even worse. They harm themselves, or they have, addictive habits that destroy them. So it's really important to pursue peace and to know that that's something that you can have in your life and use that as a measure of success. I forgot to tell you that one of the reasons I feel so comfortable talking to y'all is because in college, one of my most meaningful jobs was that I was a trio upper bound counselor. And I did that for 2 years for the summer program. So I have been relating to your program and to your experiences, not only personally, but professionally since I was about 19 years old. So my love runs deep. My commitment to y'all runs deep. I speak all over the country to trio programs. And I just want you to know that you're talking to a friend, even though you're just meeting me. I have mad love and mad respect for the trio program and for what it does. So yes, that's great. You guys I love that you're giving me these definitions, because what you're really speaking to is this idea of holistic success. So this is sort of this holistic idea, right? That you can't just measure success fully by one area. And so when we think about success, especially as a student and as an emerging college student, you really want to think about all of these different facets of success, right? So it's great that, let's say somebody said that they're really focusing on their health, and maybe that's their physical health or their emotional health. But you also want to make sure that you're attending to your academics, that you're taking advantage of all the resources that TRIO makes available, that you're, having those good study habits, or that you have personal relationships that are healthy. And I know this sounds like a lot because there's a lot of different things to navigate, but just really being intentional and thinking about how can I give myself the most balanced success in my life, because that's going to help you really thrive over the long term. Let's see what we got here. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk about all those different areas of success. And I want to tell you that one of the things why I'm passionate about talking about success and talking to young people is because growing up, I'm a first generation college student, Latina. Like I said, I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a really rough area where there was a lot of lack. We were always struggling in that way. And so I learned how to hustle hard from the day I was born, right? I mean, just to survive my community, I had to be vigilant and on point. It was just dangerous to walk to school and all of that. And the reason I share that is because I didn't really think about being happy necessarily. I just thought about surviving, right? And that's important. And right now, a lot of people are in that survival mode. But I want to tell you, and it took me a long time to figure this out, that there's more to life than just surviving, that you do have a right to happiness, that there's a place of thriving, a place of peace. And yes, material success, but that place where you don't always have to be looking over your shoulder. And I think that's important because a lot of first generation students, like the ones in the TRIO programs, often hear about the hard and the hustle and the grind. And yes, that's important. But I want you to have a more balanced view of your life and have some joy in it too. So I'm going to talk about each of these sections and give you some tips about it. And like I said, if there's something you want to ask or jump in, let me know in the chat. And Mr. Contreras, you can let me know if some questions are coming up. But really, let's talk about the personal. And I love this quote. It says, success is 99.9% an inside job. Success and more like happiness, right? So a lot of times we think that things have to be perfect in our life on the outside for us to be happy or feel successful. And the fact is that that's not really true. And that might seem like a radical thought, especially in the hard times that we're all facing. But we have an opportunity, even as young people, to own our own happiness. So that's my consejito. That's my first tip, right? That I want you to know you have a right. In fact, on the left-hand side, you see a graph that talks about what science has told us, right? So a lot of times I hear people say, I'll be happy when I graduate. I'll be happy when I get a scholarship. I'll be happy when I get to college or when I find that relationship. I'll be happy when. But the fact is that from a research standpoint, we have figured out 3 things that determine happiness. The first one on this graph is in pink, and it is that we inherit a level of happiness, a predisposition to happiness from our families, right? Like, so you were born, some of you were born more optimistic than others, some were born more pessimistic, and that has to do with your physiology. Those are not things that you literally can change. Those are things you inherit genetically, right? But that's only half of it. The other half of it is that 10% of your happiness comes from outside circumstances. So that big picture where there's money and there's a house and there's a relationship, that only accounts for 10%. And that's what we actually overemphasize. And we think, I'll be happy when, fill in the blank. And so I want you to know that, because the bigger news here is that 40% of your happiness actually has to do with your own thoughts, with your own actions, with your own behaviors. And I want you to know that now, so you can be empowered at 16, 17, 18 years old and realize I have something to say in this. And it's being aware of your thoughts, right? So in this quote here, it says, beware of destination addiction, a preoccupation with the idea that happiness is in the next place, the next job, the next partner. Until you give up the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. So I want to encourage you to take control of your happiness. And I do recognize that as a young person, you can't control your whole environment, but there are some things you can control. And I want to encourage you every day, and this is not being selfish, but I want you to think every day, what can I do to bring more happiness in my life? Okay. And one of the ways to do that is to exercise gratitude. So I'm curious, can anybody share with me, you can unmute or chat, what is something that you are grateful for, or something that brings you happiness? Somebody wrote their parents. That's awesome. And friends, cultivating your friendships. Yep. Anyone else?
My culture.
Your culture, this program. Oh, shout out there for Trio Upper Bound, my siblings. Do any of you have any hobbies or anything like that? Because I can tell you right now, you guys make me happy. And what I mean by that is that being able to speak life to you, encourage you, and to help people, that makes me happy, right? So, but it's important for you to think about. And one very quick tip you can do, you can start doing it tonight, that's literally scientifically proven to increase your happiness, is every single night, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Every single night before you go to bed, instead of worrying, think about 3 things you're grateful for that day. It can be a tiny little thing, like you found the parking spot, or you met someone new, or you read something interesting, or you went to this great workshop with this lady from New York. Whatever it is, just think about something and write it down. 3 things, big or small. What has been proven is that if you do that every week, let's say for about a month, you develop a habit of gratitude, and you will literally feel happier, even without changing your circumstance. Somebody said that their hobby is world building. I want to hear more about that.
World building is like a process that people from movies or people or novelists can do it, or you could just use it for the cartography. But basically, you just start to create like some type of fantasy type world, but you put like a system, like political system, or basically so you could put characters in the world you create, and you could
Right.
create stories around them, like short stories or novels or anything.
That sounds crazy cool. I love it. I love the imagination in that and the visualization of all of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say yeah, that's what it is. Okay.
That brings a lot of joy to you.
It does. I actually use it to learn also because I try to implement real world situations from history or sciences, so it could be more realistic. So I have to learn it before I implement it. So I use it to
Wow.
learn
So
also.
you're activating a whole bunch of different sort of triggers. That's phenomenal. There's also a test just in case you're not 100% sure what makes you happy. A good clue is what energizes you. What is something you do naturally that you find yourself doing often. Based on some questions, what are some things that will help you be happier? So just so you know, on my end, one of my top strengths is gratitude. So when I'm able to express gratitude to someone and give them a gift or give them my time or whatever, that actually brings me more joy. So I'm a giver and I love giving, and that brings me happiness. So let's go ahead because I'm already going off and I'm only on tip number 2.
So
All
we
right, so
had
tip
two.
number 2.
We had two on the chat. So Marjorie
Okay.
talked about drawing. It's a way for her to release build up emotions. And then Bianca Torres, grateful for her family and having the resources.
Love it. Love it. Yes. You know, even in these difficult times, we have a lot to be thankful for. Um, so living intentionally, and again, I can already tell by your responses that you're doing that. And what that means is a lot of times I hear people, young and old, talking about, I'm just killing time. Don't kill time. It's a commodity that runs out. You know, you've got to be really mindful of the time that you have. And even when the whole country went on pause with this pandemic, there were some people who, as a way to cope, they just slept more, you know, or they had Netflix binges or gaming or whatever it is. And that's okay. I mean, we all need an escape, but don't spend so much time on that that you miss the opportunity that you have, because you're never going to be 15 again or 16 again or 18 again, you know, and there's things that you can be doing to move forward. So I want to encourage you to live with intentionality, not to kill the time, and actually to find ways to use this time. Let's say, I don't know if how many of you may be on like on virtual high school or something, but if you've saved time with commuting or with bus travel or whatever, that's new time. Don't just waste that time. Use it to help advance yourself. You know, I tell people all the time, listen, at some point this is going to be over. And there's going to be some people que aprovecharon, like you say in Spanish, who maximize the found time. And there's others who are going to be left behind, right? And that's not like a scare thing, but it's to realize we all have time at our disposal. And now, because of the internet and because of the technology we have, you have so much information. So if you've always wanted to learn something, use that time on YouTube to learn it. My brother just taught himself how to play guitar. He's in his 50s. He had time, right? If you want to know how to develop websites, if you want to be really good at doing makeup, or maybe there's something related to your field, like self-teaching yourself is really important and super available. These kinds of programs like Trio are phenomenal. But my thing to you is, yes, rest, yes, have the relaxed time, but I want you to really think about how you're spending your time and is it moving you forward? And then I just thought this little boy was cute. He loves naps, but he stays woke. There you go. College apps instead of commuting. There you go. I had a student, quick story, who every week in her senior year, she would use her afternoons on Fridays, and she would give herself a couple of hours, like 2 hours, to apply to scholarships. And she did that, and she ended up getting over $50,000 in scholarships, small amounts, 300 here, 500 there. And she ended up having so much money in her pocket that she was able to actually get her own condo. She actually had enough money to apply to a down payment on a condo and get it by the time she was already a freshman at the school. So it just takes a few minutes of your time and intentionality, intentionally using your time and not letting other people just sort of waste your time, right? So the question here, I don't know why that came out weird there, but how bad do you want it? Whatever it is. How bad do you want it? And are you willing to do what is necessary to get it? Whether that's become a doctor, a lawyer, a business person, whether that's become a politician. God knows we need people of color, people who have different perspectives. How bad do you want it? Sometimes I hear students say, but it's going to be so hard. It's going to take so long. Don't discount your dreams, because time's going to pass one way or the other. Invest it so that you can get to where you want to go. And you got to have heart for dreams, especially long-term ones. So I want you to think just for a moment, take a pause, and take stock of how you spend your time right now. Just write down, if you think about your mornings and you think about what you do in the morning, whether it's commuting, school, what you do after school, what you do after dinner, take stock of your time. And if you are not where you want to be in terms of your goals, in terms of your GPAs, scholarship applications, whatever it is, look at your time and how it's being spent. And ask yourself, does this match up with my most important goals? People tell me I'm too busy. We all have the same 24 hours, 7 days a week. Some of us are just much more intentional about how we use it. So when you think about your day as a student right now, are there places that are draining your time or could be better spent? Maybe you are commuting by bus and you have a chance to read or watch a YouTube video and learn something or review your notes. Maybe you don't have that commute and now you can actually spend more time learning some other things or taking the, SAT prep course so you can get a better score so you can get scholarships. Whatever it is, we all have to be reminded, how are we using our time, and is it reflecting what we want for ourselves? Because you just don't get it back. And if you're not doing that, then make a shift. Make that shift. It really is that simple. So I want to encourage you to watch your time and to be willing to hustle hard and to work hard. My mother always loved saying, el trabajo fuerte nunca mató a nadie. What that means is work hard never killed nobody. Be willing to work hard. What are you saving it up for? You get one life, right? And enjoy yourself along the way. So how bad do you want it? Keep asking yourself that. And obviously nothing illegal or wrong, but be willing to do what it is you need. And I'm going to give you a quick example. My son had an internship earlier this year. He's going to be a senior, so getting an internship is really important from graduation point. And he got this major internship. He worked hard to get it with the Mayo Clinic, which is considered the Harvard of clinics in the world. I mean, it's really top notch. And he got an internship with the Mayo Clinic at their headquarters in Minnesota. He had to fight the good fight to get it. He had to compete, and he got it. And then the pandemic hit. And this internship, he was going to make $10,000 over the summer. He had his room and everything set up. And they called and they said, sorry, we can't, the pandemic, we've got to focus on finding a cure. We can't have students here. And he was devastated. And he was sitting in my house, and I'm mama, so I care, and I'm doing mom thing, but then I had to turn into my coach role, right? And I finally looked at him after a couple of hours. He was feeling down, and I said, let me ask you something. How bad do you want it? He was like, Ma, I want this more than anything else. This is going to make the difference in the rest of my career. I said, then act like you want it and do something. He was like, what can I do? I said, just because somebody says no doesn't mean that's a final answer. Make a long story short, he advocated for himself. He wrote a letter back to the company, to Mayo Clinic, told them his passion, told them why it meant so much, and told them that he was willing to work for them virtually just so that he could get the experience with them. That he was willing to not do full-time, just do 20 hours. And even if he had to, he'd be willing to do it for free because the experience meant so much. He blew those people's minds because a whole bunch of students had been turned down and they never responded. They just accepted it. And he fought, and guess what? He did a virtual internship with the Mayo Clinic half-time during the summer. And now he has something on his resume that is going to put him over the edge. And not only that, but has a network of these amazing doctors from all over the world. He's as smart as anyone else. He's not a genius. He just worked hard and he listened to that advice. And so I want to tell you that sometimes you just got to push harder, push the door open. Do unconventional things if you want to be successful, and be okay doing that. Because I'll promise you that you'll be the one that sticks out. So tip number 3, and this is related to that. Have a vision that is so awesome, it terrifies you. And what I mean by that is your dreams have to be big to sustain you. If what you dream for is so small that you can do it by yourself, it's not big enough. If your vision scares you just a little, makes you nervous, then you're on to something. So I'm wondering, is there anybody willing to tell me their dream or their vision for life?
Governor of Texas.
We just had our speaker earlier talked about this.
Somebody who wants to share their vision?
Mr. Train. Be the governor of the state of Texas.
All right. Yes, that's what I'm. Let me get the name so I'll remember this.
Anacleto Contreras.
There you go. Oh, I thought you were referencing someone else. I'm feeling it. Gobernador Contreras. I could totally see it.
Trying to motivate
Mr. Contreras
these kids.
for governor.
Yes, Contreras for governor. You guys are awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. We need you in there. So where are you in that goal? What are you doing right now towards that vision?
Getting into politics more and just educating myself on that and just staying active with the community. I feel, I mean, the community is the individuals that vote you in there. And, you know, if you're not doing anything for the community, right, I mean, I won't get there. So me being here with these kids, being active with my community, I feel that's my path to achieving that.
I love
We'll
it.
vote for you.
Yes, yes. Yes, absolutely. And
We'll run
I'm
your
glad
campaign.
you even got people willing to run your campaign. I'm telling you, you already got a major network. Trio folks are world changers. So yeah, it's important to have this vision. And I got to tell you something. You might think, oh man, that's so far away. Time goes by fast and you either working towards something or not. And so I want to encourage you to not only have a vision that's big, but write it down. If you have a journal, a notebook, if you want to do a visual images, something you could put on your wall, whatever it is, because from a science standpoint, this stuff works to encourage you and reinforce your brain to live and act according to your vision. So I'm gonna tell you a quick story. Well, 2 quick stories related to vision. And I really, really believe in this because I've lived it, right? I told you what environment I grew up in. There was no hope in the environment I was in, but I had a vivid imagination and I saw myself being more than what was around me, doing more, contributing, helping people like me. And I saw that from the time I was little. So one of the places that you can get a sense of your vision and your purpose that's driving that is from the things that you daydream about, is from the things that you're passionate about, like political change. These are all clues to your purpose and to your destiny. And I used to visualize myself graduating from high school with scholarships. I used to see myself with that cap and gown on, walking across the stage as they said my name and said what schools I had been accepted to. I used to see myself going to college and graduating from college and then going on and getting my master's. And I would envision that. I used to see myself studying abroad, which I did do, and I lived in Spain for a semester as a first-generation Latina from the hood. Nobody ever expected that to happen, and it happened. And when I came back, I used to see myself prospering in my career and giving back to my community. And I ended up building a center that's considered a national model. I created the largest coaching center in the country at the largest university in the country that's considered a national exemplar. I have literally coached over 100,000 students, okay? I used to imagine these things well before they were anywhere near me. I used to daydream a lot and then I would write it down. And the most beautiful thing would happen is that a couple of years later, I would find my journal and be like, oh my God, I'm living that vision. I'm literally living that vision. Nobody could ever tell me as a girl from the housing projects, I was gonna write 2 books and I have about 4 more in the works. Nobody could have told me that. But there was things inside of me that I kept seeing, little whispers that I heard and things that would excite me. And so those are the same things that are happening for you. Stop and listen to those things. Don't listen to the haters. They're going to do what they do. Don't listen to the naysayers. Statistics ain't got nothing to do with your success. Okay? But listen to those visions and write them down and use the power of visualization. So the other thing I want to tell you about visualization, if you don't want to believe me on it, anybody knows who Coach Bob Bowman is? Most people don't. Does anybody know who Michael Phelps is? The swimmer?
Yes.
Yeah, right? One of the greatest athletes of all time, right? He won so many gold medals, I can't even remember how many. Coach Bob Bowman was his coach since he was 12 years old. They both work at ASU, where I worked up until the other day. And Coach Bob Bowman came and trained my coaches. And what he said about Michael Phelps was this. Michael Phelps used the power of visualization, the power of imagining a future success. Whether you close your eyes or keep them open, he used visualization so effectively that he was able to predict within a second his time during swim meets. He was able to tell you what his time was going to be before he swam it. Obviously, he practiced a lot, and now I think he won like 60 gold medals, some ridiculous number of medals. Okay? So this stuff works, and there's lots of stuff you can learn online about visualization. So I want to do right now, just a super quick, you don't have to close your eyes, but it's helpful you do so you don't get distracted. I want you to think about yourself graduating from high school. For some of you, that's really soon. Some have a few years to go. I want you to think of yourself graduating from high school. And I want you to imagine it in your head like it's in HDTV, like it's in super color, Technicolor. And I want you to imagine yourself at graduation. How do you feel? Who are you with? What are you wearing? Who's around you? And I want you to imagine the life that you want to have at that point. Will you have received a bunch of awards? Will you have gotten scholarships? Will your family be proud? Will you be headed to college? What school? What's it going to look like when you get there? How's it going to feel to get into your dream school? And so on and so forth. And I'm curious if anybody did this while I was talking. Can you share with me what you saw?
I can't take a look at the chat, but if somebody can read it, if there's anything on the chat.
There isn't anything on the chat. We're waiting to see if somebody wants to volunteer.
This is your vision. Nobody can judge it. This is just you and your imagination and your hopes and dreams.
I'll go to give everybody some time. I kind of close my eyes, and I graduate in the spring with my master's in higher ed. So it's been a long journey, and even though there's a possibility I won't have a graduation due to COVID, I can just picture myself getting that degree in the mail. And I have my degrees. I just put them up like this year from my college degrees. And so I'm just like visualizing where I want to put my master's degree. So I'm excited about that.
How's it going to feel to get that in the mail?
Ooh, I'm going to be the first in my family to ever have a master's degree from both sides. So I think I'm just going to be really proud for my family, for my ancestors. I think right now it's really important for me to connect with my lineage. So that's one of my visions, to be able also to have a family tree and see, where it came from, where my family came from, and just be grateful, for the journey.
And you're going to put it in a special place of honor, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to stick it in the drawer or anything like that.
No. It's going to be hung up in my office.
Like a special sort of sacred altar of all the achievements and all the people who came before you, and imagining what your family is going to say or feel, or how your degree is going to change generations to come behind you. Mm-hmm. Right? Because are you first gen? You're first gen Latina, just like me, right? Mm-hmm. My son's life is radically richer and easier because of the sacrifices I made. My life is so much easier, even as hard as it was, because of mommies, right? So this is all connected to each other. This has a generational impact. And I know I did that really quickly, but I want to encourage you, you can visualize for yourself 24/7. What I encourage you to do is take that dream, take that goal, close your eyes and allow yourself to imagine the best scenario. Describe it in your mind, fill it with color, with action, with emotion. Not only will that feel amazing and that will encourage you, but you're literally rewiring your brain so that it behaves in ways that allow you to get to that place. That's really scientifically proven. So I want to encourage you to do that. I could do a whole training on visualization, but I just want to throw that out to you guys to keep that vision before you. So one of my favorite quotes, can I get somebody to read it going like with swag for vision? Or underneath vision, what that quote is.
Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive.
There you go. Thank you so much. I love this quote because we're always talking about job demand and salaries and what's best and, you know, the top 10 jobs in 2020 or whatever it is. You know what? What the world needs is people on fire for what they're doing. Whether you're on fire as an engineer, whether you're on fire as a teacher, whether you're on fire as an astronaut, that's what the world needs, because you know that when you're on fire, you do excellent work, you make great contribution, and you positively affect others. So I want you to think about what makes you so excited. You can do it all the time. You would do it for free. I tell people all the time, I will talk to anyone, especially young people and women, as long as necessary, because this brings me great, great joy, more than it can even give the person, right? Because I'm walking in purpose. And I love this thing that says purpose. There are two great days in your life: the day you were born and the day you discovered why you were born, right? And sometimes we hear this word purpose and we get like intimidated, like, oh my God, how am I supposed to know that? That seems so heavy. But even as a young person, you're having little inclinations as to your purpose, things that you really enjoy, things that you do naturally well, things that you're drawn to in reading or watching or doing, right? But one very simple question you can ask yourself, this is a coaching question, is how is the world better because you're in it? Ask yourself that question. How is the world better because you are in it? And that's going to give you a clue. We all make unique contributions to the world. There is none like you. No one in this world can do what you can do. Does anybody have a sense of their purpose?
Mr. Harris here. I feel like my purpose is to, similar to what you're doing. I just haven't explored it as much as you have, obviously. But I feel like my purpose is to help other people reach their full potential. That's my passion in life, is to help as many people become the best version of themselves that they can be. And so I get to do a little bit of that through Upward Bound and McNair and facilitating in that way, but then also just in my personal life and my interactions with people. So.
And does that bring you joy?
It does. It brings me immense joy to hear people talk about the successes that they're having, the goals that they're reaching and achievements that they're having in their lives. And I think that's what humans, I feel like that's what we vibe on. Like, it feels good to see other people doing well, because then that inspires you to continue on your journey. And even when we see other people struggling, right, that inspires you to continue on your struggle and whatever that is, because you realize that you're not alone, right? And everybody has something that they're dealing with or something that they're working towards. And so I just want to be the best inspiration in that way and the best resource that I can be towards helping other people achieve their best possible self.
That's awesome. Yeah, we definitely from the same vibe and tribe there. I love helping people out. I want to leave every single person I ever interact with better than I found them. More joy, maybe a tool, a resource, a sense of hope. And I feel deeply fulfilled because I've been able to do that through my career and through the work that I do with training and such. And, you know, sometimes we're inspired by something good and positive, and sometimes we're inspired by something that was difficult, an adversity, an injustice, right? One of the reasons I do the work that I do, and I've been doing it for, like I said, over 25 years, is because when I was a freshman in college, I had such a bad experience, both from the racism and stuff that I dealt with, but I also got into a really bad relationship, and it almost cost me not only my scholarship, it almost cost me my life. And on an unconscious level, as I went through that, I decided, you know what? Not on my watch. A student won't have to go through alone what I went through and cost me as much as it did. And so for the last 25 years, I've been doing this so that I can help remedy the thing that that young Maricela went through. And in the process, I've been able to understand, have compassion for, advocate for students in the ways that sometimes people at institutions don't, because they forget what it was like. I've never forgotten what it was like, and I have a sense of urgency. I want to save somebody's life. I want to have somebody make a better decision to stay in school, to get through, to luchar, because I remember what it was like to have lost all hope in being a young person who wanted so much. And so there has to be sort of an urgency to what you do, whether it's righting a wrong or repaying what somebody did for you. Think about what it is that puts you on fire and then follow that. I love this. Make your vision so clear that your fears become irrelevant. That's the urgency, right? My desire to help young people like you is bigger than my fear of my presentation going wrong. It's bigger than my fear of flying. It's bigger than, right? So that compels me. So you got to think about that thing and make it really, it's not that we're not going to have fears, but feel the fear and do it anyway, right?
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm Aurelia Miles from Lancaster High School, and I'm not sure what my purpose is, but a lot of people say that I'm a good leader and stuff like that, but I don't know where that's gonna lead me from now. Like, I know I'm a good leader, but I don't know how to use that.
Well, that's huge, because being a good leader could be applied to any set of context or majors or fields. So that's awesome. What are the things that you get excited about? What would make somebody say you're a good leader? Are you involved in school, or are there some things that you seem to do sort of naturally?
Well, I'm good with kids. That's one thing that my parents always say. When I'm around little kids, I just love them. I do everything, and they always say, all the more you're older, so you gotta be a leader and lead for an example and teach them what's good.
So you're a great role model to young children.
Yes.
Yes. You hesitated there. You are. That sounds like that's the case. Are you involved in anything in either your community, at school, or were you?
I did have a daycare business, but I slowly stopped doing it once I got into early college because I didn't have time to do it as much as I did before, but I did it during the summer where I had flyers and everything.
Wait a minute. You are an entrepreneur. Yes.
Yes.
Girl, you bad. You're an entrepreneur. You're a leader. You're involved in early college, which is a whole nother level of leadership. So you've now named like 3 or 4 different areas where you have shown your natural ability. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes we got to look at it like it was a friend of ours saying, yeah, you know what? I'm in an early college program and I'm going to graduate and go on to school. I'm spending my Saturdays doing this stuff. I take college courses and I find out about what's going on there. I have a side business, because that's a business and we need women entrepreneurs, taking childcare, and then I'm involved in other ways, and everybody seems to call me a leader. So it seems to me that you already are, and there's many different places that you are. In terms of how you can apply that in your career, that will be more towards the things that really excite you, that you could see yourself studying. Have you thought about what major you want?
Well, I did want to I had a lot of options. When I was little, I used to want to be a lot of things. First, I wanted to be a teacher. Then I said I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. Then I said I wanted to be an event planner. And then I said I wanted to make my own foster care system where I kind of, all these type of things. And then me and my mom was talking, and she told me, well, Autumn, you're good with helping people with their problems. So why don't you do counseling, like couples counseling? Because I'm good with telling people which person is doing something wrong in the relationship type thing. And she was like, why don't you do that? And so I said, well, I have to think about it. So for right now, I wanted to be an event planner. I wanted to go into business management because that was something that I'm good at. I have a very creative mind and a vivid imagination. So yeah, that's what I have so far.
But you know what? That's very normal to have lots of different interests. That's beautiful, actually. That is a sign of your imagination and of your ability. And what's wonderful that this is the time, high school and college in particular, is the time to really be sort of refine those things. So a couple of things I want to encourage you, and I can send this to the TRIO staff later on if they want, just in case you can't jot it down. But there's a lot of different assessments you can take to help you understand your strengths and your abilities, and that really can give you a clue. So one of them is called strengthsfinder.com. And I think it costs $10. I'm not sure if TRIO could pay for that, but it costs about $10 to do the assessment. And it gives you all kinds of information about you and your natural strengths. But what's more important is that it tells you these are some areas you should seriously consider as a career or as a profession. So that way you can start honing down those things. The other one that I want to encourage you to do is something called Me3. It's an app that we created at ASU, but that's open to everyone, everywhere. And basically, it's a visual quiz. It's super easy, or you just picking pictures that you really like. And at the end, it also gives you this information. And what's really cool about that one is it tells you what the field is, what you would need to study in college to maybe do event planning, let's say. It will tell you the salaries, and it will give you tons of information. And so I think anything that helps you get a better sense of what really drives you and motivates you. But I gotta tell you, you have leadership all over you on every single thing you described, even those different interest areas. You wanna contribute, you wanna make an impact, you wanna make things better. And that's a huge thing to know about your values already. So I would be excited about the fact that I have so many different interests and that I already have this innate leadership ability. Does that help at all?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, thank you so much. And tell me your name again.
Aurelia Miles, but you can call me Autumn. It's simple.
Autumn?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Autumn.
You're welcome.
All right. And then this last quote right here is one that I live by. Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. Viktor Frankl said that. He was a Holocaust survivor. He survived the Holocaust, and this is what he says. When you have a why to live, you can bear almost any how. You know, my mother often talks about the fact that she had 8 children in a foreign land, and that made her get up every day, no matter how hard it was, because her why was us. It's important to have a why, whether that's to change your community, better your own life, make an empire. There's nothing wrong with that too, because that also helps people, you know, but having that why is so important. Tip 4. And where am I on time? Do I have like, what, 6-7 minutes or something like that? I don't recall. Huh?
It's 11:58, so you have about 7 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to run through these quick because I've kind of gone a little bit out of order, but tip number 4, speak life and see success. The single most important thing I want you to know, no matter what you hear in this life, and I'm an OG, okay? I'm going to be 50 years old. I've been around for a bit, okay? The single most important thing I want you to know is that what you think of yourself is more important than what any other person on this planet thinks of you. More important than your mama, than your papa, than your sisters, than your brothers, your cousins, your friends. What you think of yourself is more important. And for a long time, I struggled with self-esteem. But when you learn to love yourself and accept yourself and respect yourself, your whole world changes. The other thing that I want you to know is this, what this says on the right-hand side. I am are 2 of the most powerful words because what you put after them will shape your reality. Speak positively about yourself. Speak life. Don't go around talking bad at yourself. You got a whole world waiting to do that. Don't give them a head start. And so I'm going to give you an example of this. I know it's written small, but I'm going to read it to you. And I want you to say it to yourself and practice it. And then I want you to take, while I'm doing it, in the chat, and I want to hear your I am statement. If you walk around saying, I am a loser, that's exactly what you'll be because you've decided that. But if you say, I am not giving up, you keep saying that. And I do this daily. I affirm who I am daily. And I encourage you to do the same. So if you're ready for me, let me just take a quick sip. Drop a line in the chat about who you are. I am bold. I am the real deal. I am a force to be reckoned with. I am powerful. I am passionate. I am a fighter. I am living on purpose. I am excited about my future. I'm going all the way to graduation day. I am worth the investment and inconvenience. I am full of grit. I'm too legit to quit. I am brilliant. I am destined for greatness. I am confident. I am able to overcome my fears. I am a difference maker. I am flawsome. Yup, I am awesome with flaws. I am able to do hard things. I am willing to ask for help. I am on a mission. I am unstoppable. I am focused on what I can control, and I can control a lot. I am starting today. I am relentless. I am relentless. I am relentless. I am rising and roaring more and more each day. I am more beautiful than myself. Yeah, I am. I don't even need no filters on how beautiful I am. I am full of love and possibilities. I am celebrating my successes. I am owning my happiness. I will share my gifts with the world. I am choosing how my story unfolds. I am bigger than the bullies and the haters. The haters can't do nothing with me. I am not alone. I am not alone. I'm breathing in all the good in my life, and I'm exhaling the bad. I am holding on to my dreams even when the going gets tough, because I'm tougher. I am courageous. I am a dreamer and a doer. I am willing to be different, uniquely me. I am willing to stand up for myself and for others. I am unstoppable. I am unstoppable. I am unstoppable. I am busting at the seams with potential. I am brilliant and resilient. I am brilliant and resilient. I am brilliant and resilient. Yep, I'm all that, and I am on my way. You create your own list. You create your own list of I am statements. Put them on your mirror. I am worthy of having a place in this world. Yeah, you are. Anybody else? What else you got here? I am worthy. Yes, you are. I am more than what happened to me. I am more than what happened to me. I'm a child of God. I'm the daughter of a king. I am awesome. Yeah, I am. You gotta amp yourself up. People are not gonna always be there. I am not my parents' mistakes. That's what's up right there. Come on now. Don't make me have church up in here. Yes, you, go ahead.
I'm gonna read some. I am a fighter. I am capable. I am strong. I am on a mission. I am not alone. I am starting today. I am alive. Yeah. So that's
right
in the chat.
Yes, you've got to do that. You've got to decide who you are, because there's a whole world waiting out there trying to tell you who you're not. Okay? Change your thoughts and you're going to change your world. It is so important that you think positively about yourself. Your whole life becomes more positive. Okay? And this is all scientific. This is not just inspirational. I want to ask, so I'm here at, I think I got 1 minute. Is there any chance I could borrow a couple of minutes, or do you have somebody right behind us?
No, you can. Yes, ma'am.
How many more minutes can I borrow? I swear I'll pay you back.
Take as long as for you to finish.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Not an hour though.
No, I'm not going to take that long. I'm going to take that long. I just want to finish it out. Thank you so much. There is none like you. No one in this world. No one in this world. I have a twin sister. We share the same DNA. We look like each other. And she ain't me. Right? There's no one in this world that can compare to you, because you are uniquely made. So stop comparing and competing with everybody else. Stop measuring yourself up to what your friends have or what your celebrities you see. Most of the people's lives are filtered. It's called fake book for a reason. You know, these Instas, people are only showing you the best part of their life. So don't beat yourself up and trying to compete and compare with other people. Do you. Do you. And yes, you're going to feel fear, because that's just a normal human emotion. But guess what? It doesn't mean you got to stay stuck in fear. You could say, you know what, I'm scared to do this. I'm scared to go for this opportunity. I'm scared to speak up during this workshop session, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay? And your haters, they can't do nothing with you. Haters are gonna hate. That's their job. Don't be surprised when they do that. But haters have nothing, and I do mean nothing to do with what you accomplish. In fact, when people find themselves needing to talk about me all the time, that means I'm up to something and they ain't got nothing to do with their own lives. So I love this what it says, I am flattered that I'm always a trending topic in your life, because clearly I got something going on. And I want to tell you, sometimes as a first-gen student, especially when we're thinking about college, we think like we're not good enough, that we're an imposter, that we're never going to be able to make it. You're the real deal. You are the real deal. I've been to school with some of the richest kids. I have worked for years in this field, and I can tell you, the ones who think the least of themselves are the ones who are killing it. You are not an imposter, and you belong wherever you are. And I'm going to be doing another session next month with you guys on this idea called imposter syndrome. You don't want to miss it. Trust me, I'm on fire for that one. Okay? So look in the mirror and try to see the lion, not just the kitten. Okay, so I'm going to skip this one because I've talked about it, because I want to show you a quick video. In just a second. But before I do the video, so this is the thing. Failure, we all fail. We fail a test. We fail in a relationship. We fail a fitness goal. There's so many different things that we can experience disappointment in and falling short. Failure is an event. It is not an identity. Failure is an event. It is not an identity. Separate your who from your do. What that means is you may have fallen short of your expectations, even people's expectations, but that doesn't make you a failure. That makes you a human being. And it's what you do moving on that matters. It's not that you fall, it's that you get back up. And there's a lot of people out there, a lot of young people and old people, stuck because they fell short and now they don't know how to move past it. You don't have to take the rejection. You can reject the rejection. You can see failure as temporary, and you can choose to focus on moving forward. And you can get help, and you might need help in doing that. But I want you to know, so many of you are so worried about failing, about being perfect, and no one is perfect. Failure is an event, a thing that happened. It is not who you are. Separate the two. Cultivate your soft skills. You do this a lot through the Upper Bound program. You're learning about professionalism, about your academics, career services, all the like. This is really important even at your young age. Having a resume with you at all times is extremely important, even if it is just to say your goals and your volunteer experiences and your work experiences. What's even more important, I think, in some ways at this point in your life, which I know you already are developing, is to have a dream team. A personal board of directors, whatever you want to call it, people who got your back and they are for you. Their only interest is helping you succeed. You need this at 15, you need this at 55. These are people who say your success is possible, they agree to make you better, and they guide and support you. These are game changers in your life. And so really quickly, I want you to take notes on this for yourself. Think about the people in your life you already have or who you could ask to be part of your dream team. Watch this video.
Coming up, I'll get you started building your very own personal board of directors. Hey guys, I'm Antonio Neves for YoungEntrepreneur.com, and this episode is all about building your personal board of directors. The key word here is personal because it's all about you. So what is a personal board of directors? Long story short, this is a group of people who have agreed to make you better. These mentors are on your team anytime you need support, have questions, or need guidance. The first step to building your board is determining the key areas where you could use some guidance. Maybe you'd like to become a better leader, or for some, you'd like to improve your focus and productivity. And for others, it could be learning how to navigate challenges and obstacles with confidence. From here, identify 5 to 10 people you can learn from. So where do you find these people? Believe it or not, you have a vast network of people who would love to support you. This network includes current and former colleagues, people in professional organizations, alumni networks, classmates and professors. The list goes on and on. Okay, so now that you've identified these 5 to 10 people, the next step is making the ask. Don't worry, this is easier than you think. Reach out to these individuals and set up a call or a cup of coffee. Then when you meet with them, let them know that you have the utmost respect for them and you would love for them to be on your board where you can ask them for guidance every now and then. Believe it or not, most people will be flattered and say yes. Now, some may say no because they're busy, but don't take this personally. Just move on to the next one and thank them for their time. The key once you build your personal board of directors is staying in regular communication. This can be accomplished via email, with phone or video calls, having that occasional cup of coffee. You guys can figure out what works best for you. Having a personal board of directors has been a game changer in my career, and I believe it can do the exact same thing for you. To learn more about topics like this,
Awesome. So does anybody have someone who's their mentor or that you feel you would want to be part of your dream team? Anybody who comes up to sort of to your mind?
I mean, from the video said 5 to 10 people, but like personally, I've been in the Upward Bound program since my freshman year, and I've never made I feel like everyone in the program to me means a lot because I found in the Upward Bound, I feel like I found a group of people where I can fit in with, and no matter what I go through, everyone's supportive. Like, I've never met anyone in this program that isn't supportive of everyone.
I love it. I'm feeling the love. You guys are doing it. You should be so proud. I hope you receive that, staff. You're absolutely right. They're game changers. Trio is game changing, and it will be for the rest of your life. One of the things I want to add, though, too, is that you want to have people who not only can help you where you are right now, but also with the next phase of your life, right? So when I went to write my books, I had all this experience in other areas, but I had never written a book. And so I asked somebody who I knew who had written a book to help me guide me, right? And so they helped me maybe avoid some pitfalls and the like. It's important to have a diverse group of people on your board of directors, on your dream team, because they bring different perspectives. I have a girlfriend who works in corporate America. I don't work in corporate America, right? She has a different perspective on things, and she works in human resources. She can help me when I would be going for positions or negotiating salary. So it's really important to have a very diverse group of people on your dream team to help you be encouraged, help you with your goal, help you save some time and some mistakes. And yes, absolutely, Trio is a huge dream team, but you want to also cultivate those in your church or your temple, in the community, if you work. These are all these different perspectives, making sure that these are people who you know have your absolute best interest for you, right? And maybe who have been where you want to go, because it's kind of hard to lead somebody where you haven't been. So I want to encourage you to ask for those and to continue to build those with intentionality. Advocate for yourself. I think that's one of the great things that Trio teaches you. We know that you have to advocate for yourself by being yourself, accepting yourself, blessing yourself, loving yourself. That's a life skill. You're going to have to take your lifetime to learn that, but do it with intentionality. But it's also important to advocate for your community, whatever that community, for your identity, for your causes. And one of the things we know about first-gen students is they're really motivated to go to college as a way to bring honor to their families and to change generations. Yep, somebody said AOC for president. I'm with that. I'm with that. I can't wait for the day I get to vote for her. I love what she said too. She said, fear is not a plan, but courage is. If you're able to summon the courage to take the next step, just the next step and the one after her. So you know who these people are here. You got Dr. King, who talked about, you know, the greatest question that we have in this world is how can we be of service to others? And he knew that love would drive out hate. There's so much we can learn from him during these times. And obviously Representative John Lewis and former President Barack Obama. This idea of good trouble, I love this because AOC lives it for sure, and so do others. This idea of being bold, being courageous on behalf of a bigger cause. And we know that there's bigger causes right now. When I had to march against the Ku Klux Klan, I was terrified. but I was more terrified of living in fear of them than marching, right? And so again, going back to that why, and knowing that even as a young person, you can change. Obviously, if you're 18, vote. Vote like your life depends on it. It does. It does. We've never been in a place like this. You got to vote. And even if you're not of age, what can you do? Maybe you can translate the stuff that comes to your mother's house and she doesn't understand. That's what I do all the time, translating for mommy, making sure she gets the mail-in ballot. You know, maybe you can organize a group of people and say, you know what, I know how to get to the voting site. You may not know, you may not be voting, but I'm going to take you there. Or if you have a card, there's so many different ways that we all can contribute to activism. Maybe you can teach people about your culture, your perspective. Maybe you could write for the newspaper. I mean, there's just so many things you can do that have nothing to do with your age that can mobilize. But stand up for something, and more than anything else, don't check out. Our whole future depends on you. And my biggest fear, I'll be real honest with you, is that young folks like you, I'll be like, I'm done with this because this world been so crazy. That is the absolute worst thing you could do right now, is to check out. So find your niche, find your way of serving, of contributing, of tutoring, of volunteering. Volunteer at the polls, volunteer to mobilize a group of people to learn about their rights or whatever it is. But get yourself into some good trouble. Get yourself to some good trouble. That's where you learn who you are. Health and wellness, perhaps the most important. Financial wellness, I think I'll let Trio cover that, because I know that scholarship and funding and all that, that's a big part of the Trio curriculum. But it's important for you to know the numbers, consider the cost of the schools you're going to, the things that you're interested in, and don't be afraid of the price tag. I always tell students, it doesn't matter how much a school costs. It matters how much you're going to get money-wise to pay for it. If school costs $20,000 a year and you give me $18,000 in aid, then $20,000 ain't the point. It's the $2,000, right? So don't get caught up in that, not the sticker price. Get caught up in doing everything you can to get your scholarships, get your FAFSA in, and handle your business. Okay, I know it's expensive, but it is doable. Spend mindfully. A lot of students, you could be saving some money right now. If you work, let's just be real. You could be saving some money if you weren't drinking $6 Starbucks or whatever it is that you do. Well, I think I just hit a nerve. Yes, right? So there's some things you could be doing too. And being really mindful of your finances. And I'm passionate about this because my freshman year of college, all these credit card companies came at me. And by the time I had graduated from college, I had ruined my credit over silly stuff. And it took me 7 years to fix it. So this is real, okay? And by the way, employers look at your credit score to deny you jobs. So this is all connected to your future. And last but not least is, and I love that somebody early on said this, your health is your first wealth. And just because you're young, don't mean that you can abuse your body or your mind and not have repercussions. You have got to rest. You have got to take care of yourself. You have got to treat yourself with respect and not allow your boyfriend or your girlfriend to disrespect you. Been there, done that. We know that 1 in 4 young people are in a domestic violence relationship. I was in it. I know. That ain't love. That ain't love. Get some help. Talk to your counselor. Talk to your Trio folks. But I'm telling you, you deserve more. Emotionally, physically, take care of your body. You know, people of color, we suffer from obesity and all manner of disease in horrible rates. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Look at that picture. You wouldn't eat 22 packets of sugar. Why would you drink them? That's how much sugar there is in a Coca-Cola. That's why we have the rates of diabetes we have. And diabetes ain't fun. I know, because I've been diabetic since I was 20. You don't want that, you know? So there are things that you can do. Some things are genetic. Yes, I get it. But we have got to get this health thing under control. I know I'm curvy. I'm fine. I got a good self-esteem. But I could also stand to lose 20 pounds for my health. I'm just being honest with y'all, right? We struggle in this area, or smoking, or vaping, or smoking weed, or drinking. Let's just be real. Okay, these are all real things that we get to choose on how we're going to take care of our bodies, the people we're going to spend our time with. So I want to encourage you to do all the things related to all of your holistic health that matters. And I love this meme. It says, treat your body like it belongs to someone you love. Get the sleep. Protect it in all ways. Hint, hint. Okay? Go to the doctor. Work out. Just walk. You don't even have to do a fancy workout. Just walk or jog or whatever. Take care of your health, because it's something that I see a lot of young people not do. And whatever your faith belief or meditation, whatever it is, do that too. Because I'll be real with you. I wouldn't have survived half the stuff that I've been through had it not been for my faith and the strength that I drew from that. So whatever that is for you, whatever self-care looks like for you, how you reconnect with yourself or your higher power, do that even at 14 and 15. Because I'm not one of these adults who thinks you don't know what real life is. Some of y'all done lived through some things already that grown folks ain't never lived through. There ain't no real life out there. Your real life is right now. This is not a dress rehearsal. So you got to take care of your body. And I love this meme because it talks about all the different ways that you can take care of yourself and examples of that. Take a moment to look at that and see where you feel like you do really well. Maybe it's in your physical, maybe it's in your emotional, maybe it's your work. And then maybe look at an area that you feel like you could do more. And then below it is ideas of things you could do. And that's me. That's how I feel after a conversation with God. Fire. So my question to you all as I end this is, what is one way that you like to take good care of yourself? What are some things you do?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say exercise.
For me, I know I can improve my emotional health. So what I started doing is keeping a log of things, of my emotions and things I'm grateful for, just to help me improve my emotional health.
That's awesome. Do you journal at all?
It's not journaling. It's just more like every like when I feel something, I'll write it down just to get it out. Cause I'm the kind of person who doesn't. I feel like I bother people when I need to talk about something. So I rather write it down as a way to help me cope with it.
Yeah. Your journaling could be something simple as a little bullet or a remark or something. That's powerful because what you're doing is you take your emotion and you externalize it. You put it outside of yourself, which makes it easier to manage, right? And that awareness. Somebody here said that they listen to all these motivational speakers that I listen to too, Lisa Nichols and Robbins and all of that. There's so much out there now. From every walk of life. I swear, you can go onto YouTube or just Google all kinds of motivational things and amp yourself up. You know, one of the things I love to do, and I would love to hear from you guys, whether it's verbally or chat real quick, some songs that get you pumped up. Music is a huge, huge energizer. So I play a playlist on my way when I would be driving to work to get me amped up. By the time I got there, I was just like ready to roll, you know? And I kept it positive and I kept it uplifting. And I like music from all kinds of genres, but I like it to be encouraging, right? Now, sometimes I like to listen to gangster rap at night too, but my point is that I try to have a diversity of music to amp me up for the mood that I need to be in. So I would love to hear any songs that you like to listen to, whatever the genre that gets you really kind of fired up for the day. Because, you know, I'm trying to say relevant. Go crazy, Chris Brown. Okay, anybody else? Lotto Joyner Lucas. Okay, I will check this out. I'm gonna go home and put these all on my playlist, and then I'm gonna tell my son I got some music he needs to listen to. Ode to Sleep, Masterpiece, Jasmine Sullivan. the Cheetah Girls. All right. Get your playlist, your power playlist going. And most of all, let me just tell you, I'm at my end here. I hope these tips have helped you. I could spend 3 hours with you if you let me. And I'm excited to be working with you all in about a month again. But I got to tell you, no matter what, just own the fact that you really are already brilliant. You are already resilient, able to bounce back better from anything that's going on in your life, even on the hard days. Just absolutely refuse. The only way you can fail in this life, the only way you can fail to attain your dreams and to live life fully is if you give up. That's the only requirement I'm asking you to do, no matter what twists and turns happen, is don't you ever, 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 no pare, sigue, ever stop. And you'll make your way one little inch at a time, 1 year at a time to your goals. So I thank you for your attention. I thank you for the extra minutes. Appreciate that. I know you guys got to go to break. And I encourage you to take at least one action based on these tips this semester. Thank you very much. I'll stay if anybody wants to ask questions, but yes, thank you, Nayeli.
I'm gonna take control back of my screen real quick.
Thank you.
Let me see, remote controlled. Okay, I think I got it. Do we have any questions?
You can stay in touch with me at that email.
Any last remarks from you all?
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry about the noise in the background, but my question is, what were those sites that you had said to go to for your career thing to like see
Yes.
what you were
I'll put it in the chat too, but it's called Strengths Finder. I'll put it in the chat right now. And then the other one is ASU's, and it's called Me 3. I don't know the exact link, but if you put that in, it's the only one of its kind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll look into seeing if we can pay for the Strengths Finder. We'll have a conversation, our team.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we can get that paid for. Because I believe you do have to pay for it. I've taken one and my previous supervisor paid for it. And I love it because it's very detailed and it's almost like it pinpoints a lot of your like areas of like that you're really good at, and there's some things that I didn't know I was good at. So
oh yeah, it's phenomenal. I've taught it many years. If you want me to come back and actually facilitate a conversation based on it, I'm happy to do that, but it's really, really solid information.
that would be awesome.
So well, thank you guys so much. You have my contact information. If you think of something later on, I would love to stay in touch. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, Trio, for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Herrera.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.